Early intervention is really relevant and really important for policing. If we go right back to first principles, the police are here for two things. The police are here to reduce crime, and they're also here to protect the vulnerable. And young people, by the very nature of their age, are vulnerable. And often the police come into contact with young people at a point of crisis. That can be a crisis at home, it can be a crisis that they've been a victim of crime, it can be a crisis because they're starting as an offender themselves. And so it's essential that the police do absolutely everything they can with others to ensure the very best outcome possible for that young person. Sometimes the criminal justice process is the right way, but we do know that young people who get into the criminal justice process, that it's really hard for them to get out of it. And we know that life can be a lot tougher for them as a result. So the more we can do, the earlier it can be, the better. In terms of reducing the call on policing, if we can get ahead of problems and not wait for them to become a crisis, and get in early and help resolve matters, it stops the police having to come in later. And that helps reduce our demand. The frontline officer is so important to this. They have a really tough job. Often they have a very short snapshot of time with the young person. They only have half the information sometimes that's available much later on. So they need to spot vulnerability. They need to be confident, ask the right questions. It's not okay simply to deal with perhaps a young person who's caught shoplifting and just deal with that. They have a duty. They're the professional here. The frontline officer has a duty to look behind that behaviour, to find out what's going on, to ask the right questions, to look for vulnerability, and then be confident and make sure that the right referral or the right signposting to someone else goes on. Well, the first thing is to treat every young person as a young person first and foremost. It sounds really simple and silly to say that, but that's our duty. We are here to safeguard young people, that protecting the vulnerable that I said at the beginning. So they need to take time to understand how behaviour can manifest itself. So if someone is suffering trauma at home, for instance, they're living in a home where there's domestic abuse, that manifests itself in behaviours for that young person. So that PCSO, that frontline officer, that person who's called to an incident or happens upon young people behaving in a certain way, they need to take time, they need to think, they need to recognise that they're the professional. Too often young people do not see the police as someone who can help them. We need to change that, and we need to ensure that every interaction the police officer or police staff or PCSO has with the young person is positive. And isn't there for fluffy reasons, but is there because of our job to keep them safe. And so we use that as a positive opportunity to get underneath the skin and find out what's going on and help them if they need it.